The cafeteria fell silent for a split second, just long enough for the insult to cut through every conversation like a razor through silk. "Move it, Piggy," Chad barked, his voice dripping with disdain, loud enough to be heard across 3 tables. He shoved past Ellie, spilling her tray to the floor. A half-eaten sandwich and applesauce splattered onto her shoes. The laughter that followed was immediate, loud, and cruel. Ellie just stood there, her cheeks burning red, her eyes glassy but dry. She didn't cry, not then, not in front of them. She stared at the mess on the floor for a moment, then calmly knelt down, picked up the pieces, and walked away with her head held high. But that wasn't the beginning. And it definitely wasn't the end. Ellie Monroe had always been the quiet girl, the kind who kept her hoodie up and her eyes down. She was smart, sure, always top of the class, but not the kind of smart anyone wanted to sit with at lunch. She was the girl who brought homemade lunches, who doodled in her journal, who never raised her voice, and who had learned to endure the whispers and snickers that followed her like a second shadow. Chad Becker, on the other hand, was everything Ellie wasn't: loud, popular, athletic, and mean. The kind of boy whose smirk could silence a room or spark a riot. He was the ringleader of attention, and he thrived on it. And Ellie, with her shy stares and thrift store jeans, was his favorite target. She'd been called Piggy for 3 months now. It started as a muttered joke under his breath during gym. Then it turned into notes stuffed into her locker, and finally, like today, it was a nickname chanted openly, echoed by his crew, swallowed by the school. But Ellie was hiding something. Something no one at school knew about. Every evening after school, Ellie didn't cry into her pillow or scroll through social media searching for validation. No, she trained. In an old dusty studio on the far side of town, above a garage that smelled like engine oil and history, Ellie Monroe was learning Muay Thai. She had joined 6 months earlier, after a particularly cruel prank left her locked in a janitor's closet for an hour during a fire drill. Her mother, who had once been a martial arts instructor before an injury ended her career, told her something that night. You can't control what others do to you. But you can control what you do next. So Ellie showed up the next day to that creaky old studio in worn-out sneakers and sweatpants too big for her. She couldn't even hold a stance at first. But Master Chai, a man who barely spoke unless needed, saw something fierce in her eyes, and trained her like she was already a fighter. Punch by punch, kick by kick, the anger and sadness that had soaked into her bones began to burn away. Her body hardened. Her confidence grew. But she kept it secret, treating her training like a hidden superpower. The day everything changed was a Friday. Spirit Week. Animal Costume Day. Chad came dressed with a plastic snout and fake pig ears. It was intentional. Cruel. Calculated. As soon as he walked in, the whole cafeteria exploded in laughter. The joke was unmistakable. Even the teachers looked away awkwardly. Ellie sat at her usual corner table, chewing slowly, doing everything she could not to react. But Chad wouldn't let it be quiet. He strutted over, still wearing the costume, and slammed his hand on her table. You see this, Piggy? He snorted, leaning close. Thought I'd dress to match you today. Ellie didn't flinch. She closed her lunchbox, stood up slowly, and for the first time, looked him dead in the eyes. Careful, Chad, she said, her voice calm, you might end up squealing for real. It was the first time anyone had heard her speak more than 2 words at once. Laughter stopped. Chad blinked, confused. What did you say? Ellie took a step forward. Not aggressively, just close enough that Chad instinctively backed up a little. She spoke again. You've made my life hell for the past year. You think it makes you strong. But deep down, you're scared. Scared of being irrelevant. So you make people smaller to feel bigger. But today, you picked the wrong person. Or what? He challenged, puffing up his chest like a rooster. You gonna cry on me, Piggy? The moment happened so fast no one was sure what they saw. Ellie moved like a whisper. A pivot. A sweep. Chad's legs were taken from beneath him. The floor met his back with a loud thud. She didn't punch. She didn't hurt him. She just let him hit the ground with all his ego crashing beside him. Gasps. Silence. Then someone, maybe it was Jake from the swim team or Mia from the art club, started clapping. One clap turned into many. The noise grew. A rhythm of vindication. Chad sat on the ground, dazed, humiliated. Ellie simply turned, picked up her lunch, and walked away, again with her head held high, but this time, not in shame. That night, a video went viral on the school's private story. Ellie the legend makes Chad squeal. No one called her Piggy again. In the following weeks, things didn't become perfect. Bullies didn't vanish overnight. But Ellie started getting nods in the hallway, invites to study groups, even the occasional lunch companion. She never bragged. Never boasted. She just kept being Ellie, only stronger, more self-assured, and quietly powerful. Chad? He was quieter after that. Maybe he was embarrassed. Maybe he was thinking. Either way, he stopped picking targets. Sometimes that's how change begins, not with an apology, but with a reckoning. By the end of the semester, Ellie started teaching a self-defense class at school, sponsored by the PE department. Not everyone needs to throw a kick, she told her students. But everyone needs to know they're stronger than they think. She didn't fight for revenge. She fought for respect. For herself and for anyone who'd ever been silenced by laughter that wasn't their own. And maybe that's the real win. Not just making the bully fall, but rising so far above that their words can't reach you anymore.